21st, 2016. Thank you for joining us on the Radio Vision Network, and welcome to Let's Talk Sports. If you are a first-time viewer, welcome. If you tuned in last week, thank you for joining us. Today, we're going to talk some football. Of course, last night you had the Bears and the Packers in an NFC North showdown. Green Bay went on to win 26-10 at Lambeau Field. It was a fantastic game. Aaron Rodgers had a good performance. And same with the quarterback, Matt Barkley, the former Eagle. He had not a bad performance. Of course, he got intercepted at the end of the game. Of course, Green Bay had a chance to drive down the field, get back in the game, but it did not happen. Green Bay wins 26-10 at Lambeau Field. Next time, when these two teams will meet, they will be at Soldier Field in Chicago, Week 15. Of course, Green Bay will go to Atlanta. Meanwhile, Chicago will have a Halloween game against the Minnesota Vikings. Now let's preview the rest of football. And what happened, Philadelphia? Their defense just didn't get the job done. And you lost your offensive lineman, Lane Johnson, who has been suspended. Philadelphia had too many penalties. They had 14 at Detroit and 13 at Washington. 27 penalties total in 2 games. They got to step up. They will be taking on Sam Bradford, who will make his return in Vikings purple in Philadelphia. The Eagles will have to step up and play very well against Sam Bradford. They got to blitz. They got to put pressure on Sam Bradford, but it's not going to be that easy with Minnesota going in at 5-0. Will Philadelphia cool off the Minnesota Vikings? If they do, then the Vikings are no longer undefeated. They will be 5-1. Eagles win, they'll be 4-2. They should have gone 5-0, but the way they performed at Detroit and at Washington, they just could not get it together. I suspect the Eagles to play a penalty-free football game, which is not going to be that easy. But last week, they did not turn the ball over, which is a good thing. But Carson Wentz ended up getting sacked 5 times. And Carson Wentz, he has to avoid getting sacked in order to avoid the sack against this Minnesota Vikings defense. It's not going to be easy, but it has to be done heading into Sunday's game. Of course, after Philadelphia finishes up with Minnesota, they will take on Dak Prescott, who will start against the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday Night Football, which is going to be a pretty tough battle because these two teams meet twice a year. Philadelphia, they got to play well on defense and play well on offense. No fumbles and no turnovers, like last week at Washington. You got to step up, throw the ball, or run the ball. It's going to be not easy, but you got to play very well on Sunday against the Minnesota Vikings. And then you've got Dallas and the New York Giants coming up. 2 teams in the NFC East, even though the Giants won against the Baltimore Ravens and Dallas winning at Green Bay. We'll get to those later. How can Philadelphia improve on their defense and their offense? It's going to be not easy. No more pass interference penalties. We had a couple of them. But the only good thing is the Eagles had an interception return for a touchdown. And then you settle for 2 field goals on offense, which is totally not acceptable. I want some touchdowns from Philadelphia on Sunday against these Vikings. Will Sam Bradford be greeted? He will be greeted by boos of fans, which is not going to be that easy. I know the Eagles can do it. If they want to get back in the NFC East race, they got to start winning. Have Dallas lose and have Washington lose. Not going to be that easy, but you got the New York Giants in last place in the NFC East. They got to start winning. The Eagles got to redeem themselves. No more penalties. You got a turnover-free game. Let's keep it that way. And let's have less penalties. Got to put pressure on Bradford. You could sack Sam Bradford. I would say they were sacking like 4 times. They have to start winning and getting back on track. No more being on the losing streak. You've lost 2 straight at Detroit. You've lost at Washington. Let's not lose against these undefeated Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota comes in 5-0. They can do it. The Eagles have got to step up no more penalties, which is not going to be that easy. You just got to be careful on offense. If you throw the ball, be careful into coverage. You've got to throw the ball into the white color jersey. If you see an open receiver, throw it to the open receiver. Carson Wentz has got to pay attention to coverage. He got his first interception at Detroit last time out. He didn't have any interceptions at Washington. I suspect Carson Wentz, he can run the ball, he can throw, he can give the ball to Ryan Matthews, he could throw the ball to Zach Ertz, Jordy Matthews, hopefully Nelson Aguilar. Give these players a chance to win these games heading into the season. But of course, there's plenty of time for the Eagles to rebuild. Hopefully 4-2, but no, not a 3-game losing streak. A 3-game losing streak is not a good thing. You don't want to be at 500 heading into week 8 next week. This will be a very hard game for Philadelphia. They have to start playing well and not get any more penalties, which is going to be pretty difficult. But we'll see how the Eagles do on Sunday against those Vikings, and then next week at Dallas, and then the following week at the New York Giants before we turn on home to take on the Atlanta Falcons, which will be pretty hard. The next tough schedule is going to be at Dallas, at the New York Giants, and then you go home against the Atlanta Falcons, and then a tough road trip to the Pacific Northwest at Seattle, and then you got a Monday night affair with Aaron Rodgers and the Packers in Philadelphia. Going to be a hard time with the schedule. The Eagles can do it. They can come back on top. They can make a comeback. As I said, they can make a comeback in any games. They tried to rally in the fourth quarter at Washington. Didn't work. They tried to rally at Detroit. Didn't work either. For the Eagles, I hope they win. I'm going to say the score, 27-20, Philadelphia on top. Hopefully, they'll be back in the NFC East race heading into next week. Should be a great matchup on Fox, as we all know. Minnesota, Philadelphia, going to be a fantastic matchup heading into the 7th week of the season. Please do not go anywhere. When we come back, we'll preview the rest of the Week 7 matchup, and we'll preview the Monday night game as the Houston Texans will take on the Denver Broncos in Denver. And we'll talk about the Sunday morning game as the Giants will take on the Los Angeles Rams in London. Please don't go anywhere. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back.
Sub some sizzle. This is the way. The way it's always been. The way it always should be. The way it always will be. Because that's just the way it's supposed to be. Jersey Mike's. Be a sub above.
Simply Gents, located in Marlton, New Jersey, takes care of all your grooming needs, including haircuts, straight razor shaves, massages, facial, manicures, pedicures, and waxing. To find more information or book an appointment, visit us online at www.simplygents.com. The secret weapon of a well-groomed man, Simply Gents.
If you haven't been to Speed Raceway, what are you waiting for? You want to live fast? You want to make every second count? Then grab the family. Round up the guys. Speed Raceway is 100,000 square feet of excitement, whether you're a kid or a kid at heart. Speed Raceway is the place for endless fun all summer long. Log on to speedraceway.com or just get here now.
When it's time for Jersey Mike's to make a really great sub, this is what we do. It's what we've been doing. It's what we've always done. It's what we'll always do. so what are you doing? Jersey Mike's. Be a sub above.
Today's show was brought to you by Alicia Kelly of White Horse RV Center in Williamstown, New Jersey. Alicia is your RV expert. Contact Alicia at whitehorserv.com or give her a call at 856-262-1717, extension 203. When you think of RV, think Alicia Kelly.
Today's show has been sponsored by Farmers Insurance in Voorhees, New Jersey. To protect your assets and the people you love, call Mike Skoranek, your local Farmers Insurance agent, at 856-336-2553.
We are farmers. Bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 bum.
And we're back. It's a Friday. Hope you guys stayed around. Now it's time to preview the West of the National Football League. Are you going to wake up on Sunday morning to watch the Giants and the Rams in London? Or are you going to be sleeping in? Let's talk about the Giants and the Rams. The Giants came away with the win against the Ravens. Meanwhile, LA lost at Detroit on an interception. These two teams, they have met last time since 2014. Odell Beckham has got to control his emotions and his actions on the field. The LA Rams come in with a record of 3-3, a tough loss at Detroit. They're home in London against the New York Giants. Giants have to start losing. I'm going to take the LA Rams. If Case Keenum wants to start winning, he's got to put the LA Rams in a good position in order to win the game. So, I'm going to take the Rams. They're going to win at home in London against these New York Giants at Twickenham Stadium in London. Now, if you're done watching football in the morning, you got other football matchups besides the Minnesota Vikings, Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going to take the Eagles to win 27-20 and spoil Sam Bradford's return to Minnesota. At Ford Field, Kirk Cousins and the Skins are looking for their 5th straight victory as they take on the Detroit Lions at Ford Field. Detroit has won 3 games in a row. They could go 4-3, and Washington has to lose. They'll be 4-3. I'm going to take the Detroit Lions. They're going to be 4-3. They're going to win this one 30-20. If Kirk Cousins wants to rally from 10 points down, then Detroit's going to get another interception in the 4th quarter. They will win 30-20 at Ford Field. At Arrowhead Stadium, Kansas City and the Saints. Drew Brees has done very well. He has done very well at 2-3. The Chiefs are 3-2. The Chiefs are looking for another win, 4-2 on the season, and now the Saints are 3-3 on the season. If they can win and beat Kansas City, or will the Chiefs be 4-2, or will they be at 500? It's going to be a fun time. We'll see how these two teams feel on Sunday. I'm going to take the Chiefs to go 4-2. Andy Reid and Alex Smith. Alex Smith's going to do well, like he did last time at Oakland. Well, Kansas City won 26-10. Meanwhile, the Saints won on a game-winning field goal, 41-38. Going to be very easy, but we'll see how these two teams feel out. At the Georgia Dome in Atlanta, the 2 late games, San Diego at Atlanta. Phillip Rivers versus Matt Ryan. San Diego won 21-13 on Thursday Night Football. Meanwhile, Atlanta, bad loss for them at Seattle. On 4th down and 10, Matt Ryan was looking for Julio Jones. The 2 Seahawk defenders were all over Julio Jones, but no flag for pass interference on Seattle. If I was the referee on the field, I would have called pass interference and give Atlanta another chance to win. That was not the right call. I know Seattle has a chance, but they went on to win 26-24, but a pass interference penalty should have been called. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers come off their bye week as they take on the 49ers in Santa Clara. The 49ers lost big at Buffalo in their last game, 45-16. They got to step up. Last place in the NFC West. They got to snap their 5-game losing streak. Meanwhile, Tampa Bay has played very well. Coming off a bye, they have been successful. They cannot do anything like this. I mean, last time they played was against the Carolina Panthers on a game-winning field goal. And then, 2 weeks before that, they had 2 weather delays against the LA Rams with 2 minutes to go in the fourth, and against the Broncos with 6 minutes remaining in the fourth. I'm going to take the Buccaneers. They are going to defeat Chip Kelly's 49ers. Colin Kaepernick made his return last week at Buffalo. Let's see how Tampa Bay does against Colin Kaepernick and the 49ers in Santa Clara. In Jacksonville, the Oakland Raiders take on the Jacksonville Jaguars in Jacksonville. The Oakland Raiders, bad loss against the Chiefs last week. What happened in the Bay Area? Meanwhile, for Jacksonville, they went on to win and make a comeback against the Chicago Bears in Chicago, 17-16. I am going to take the Raiders. They have a good opportunity. The score will be 24-21. Raiders are going to win on a game-winning field goal with no time left on the clock. At MetLife, the Baltimore Ravens will take on the New York Jets. Geno Smith will be in at starting quarterback. Meanwhile, Joe Flacco, tough loss for him against the New York Giants. It's not going to be that easy. The Jets are going to try to snap their losing streak, but I'm going to take the Baltimore Ravens to win the game. Hopefully, the Jets will play better. Only one win on the season. That was at Buffalo, and then went on to lose at Kansas City against Seattle, and then losing at Pittsburgh, and then losing at Arizona on Monday night, 28-3, where the Jets did not score a touchdown. Other matchups, the Cleveland Browns take on the Cincinnati Bengals in an Ohio showdown. Cleveland is looking for their first win of the season, a tough loss to Tennessee. Meanwhile, Cincinnati is at 2-4. Cincinnati, can they beat Cleveland and make them go 0-7? Or will Cleveland get their first win? I'm going to go for the Cleveland Browns. They have yet to win their first game of the season. They are going to go 1-6. They are going to win this one 24-17. Get a go-ahead touchdown, play better, and hopefully win your first game. Another divisional matchup. Buffalo at Miami at Hard Rock Stadium. Miami won 30-15 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Meanwhile, Buffalo, a big win, 45-16. I'm going to go for the Miami Dolphins to win. If Ryan Tannehill did a good job last time, let's see if he can keep it up this time as Miami tries to win another game at home, and then they'll face the New York Jets the following week. In Tennessee, the Colts will take on the Tennessee Titans at Nissan Stadium with Marcus Mariota and Andrew Luck. Indianapolis and Tennessee, going to be pretty easy. I'm going to try and pick the Indianapolis Colts to win. Andrew Luck can do it. He has to throw, play very well, and hopefully they will take another chance at winning. So I'm going to take the Colts. They will win 26-23. The big game, Tom Brady goes into Pittsburgh, and he'll face Landry Jones and the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh. No Ben Roethlisberger. He's out with a knee injury. He suffered a knee injury in the loss at Miami. I'm going to take the New England Patriots. Tom Brady has done very well in his first 2 games back from suspension. Hopefully, he'll try to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. The Patriot defense has got to put pressure on Landry Jones and stop the running game from Le'Veon Bell. Going to be not easy, but this is going to be a good battle because last time these two teams met, they met in Foxborough. Patriots went on to win 28-21. Sunday Night Football. Seahawks and the Cardinals. I know these two teams are rivalries, NFC West showdown rivalries. Arizona came away with a big win, 28-3. Meanwhile, Seattle won on a controversial no call. Seattle comes in. They're going to try to win their next game. Meanwhile, Arizona's looking for their second straight victory. I'm going to go for Arizona. They're going to beat Russell Wilson and the Seahawks. And the next time these two teams will meet, they will meet on Christmas Eve day. Hopefully, Arizona will come out victorious. I'm going to say the score will be 24-10. Russell Wilson's got to be careful. Better not get intercepted. And Arizona, they can do better. They played very well, got a lot of touchdowns. Now let's go on to the Monday night game, Houston and Denver. The Denver Broncos lost 21-13 against the Chargers. Meanwhile, Houston won on a game-winning field goal, 26-23. Anyways, I'm going to pick the Broncos. They got to get back on the winning track. They're going to defeat the Houston Texans and head on home as they will take on the San Diego Chargers on a short week next Sunday. The Dallas Cowboys and the Carolina Panthers are off. Carolina's going to try to rebound with their next game against the Arizona Cardinals. Meanwhile, the Dallas Cowboys will take on the Eagles next week. Hope everybody enjoys football as we head into Week 7. Next week, we'll recap the Thursday night game, Jacksonville and Tennessee, and preview the rest of Week 8. And we'll have that for you next week. When we come back, we're going to preview the League Championship Series of Baseball. We're going to talk Cleveland's big win against those Blue Jays and preview Game 6. The Dodgers and the Cubs. The Cubs have a 3-2 series lead. Please do not go anywhere. Don't touch that dial because we are coming right back.
Today's show is sponsored by Hargrove Demolition, your demolition experts. Hargrove is a family-owned and operated business right here in the southern New Jersey area, bringing you 45 years of demolition expertise. Hargrove has all your demolition needs, from emergency demolition service to demolition equipment rental. Hargrove is one of the state-approved recycling facilities right here in the southern New Jersey area. No job is too big or too small for Hargrove Demolition. Contact them today at one of their 3 locations.
When it's time for Jersey Mike's to give a sub some sizzle, this is the way. The way it's always been. The way it always should be. The way it always will be. Because that's just the way it's supposed to be. Jersey Mike's. Be a sub above.
If you haven't been to Speed Raceway, what are you waiting for? You want to live fast? You want to make every second count? Then grab the family. Round up the guys. Speed Raceway is 100,000 square feet of excitement, whether you're a kid or a kid at heart. Speed Raceway is the place for endless fun all summer long. Log on to speedraceway.com or just get here now.
When we make Beyond Natural dry dog and cat foods, we start with real meat as the first ingredient. We leave out corn, wheat, and soy. And we own where our dry food is made. 100%. Can other brands say all that? For nutrition you can trust and your pet will enjoy. Does your food go beyond? Learn more at purinabeyond.com.
Extra Innings is the nation's premier indoor baseball and softball training center, featuring indoor batting cages, 7 multi-use tunnels, and training rooms. Extra Innings can provide professional instruction, private and group lessons, and the best year-round clinics. Along with a nationally recognized pro shop that features the latest and widest selection of equipment and apparel, our experienced staff can provide you with the right instruction and help you find the best equipment for your ability and budget. Extra Innings, where the game never ends.
Today's show has been sponsored by More Than Gifts. Come see our new location in Marlton, New Jersey. Not just gifts, but more.
And we are back. Hope everybody sticked around. Now it's time to talk about baseball. The League Championship Series is going on between the Dodgers and the Cubs. But first, let's recap the Cleveland-Toronto series. Cleveland did very well. 3-0, and then Toronto cut the lead to 3-1. They needed 3 games to tie and 4 to win, but that didn't happen. Cleveland won 3-0. They played very well. As Cody Allen gave up a base hit to Jose Bautista, he doubled in the gap, and they are rolling. But Josh Donaldson and Edwin Encarnacion both went down on strikes in the bottom of the 9th inning. But Troy Tulowitzki, the former Colorado Rocky, popped out into foul territory to first, and Cleveland went on to win the American League pennant and go on to the World Series. They have been there since 1997 when they took on the Florida Marlins. Back then, Cleveland had Kenny Lofton, Jim Thome, Omar Vizquel, and Florida had Edgar Renteria, Craig Counsell, Gary Sheffield, Cliff Floyd. Now, it's the time for Cleveland. But now, they have to wait and see who they're going to face. Will they face Los Angeles with Chase Utley and Carlos Ruiz? Or will they face Anthony Rizzo, Dexter Fowler, and those Chicago Cubs? We're going to have to wait and see tomorrow if Chicago can come in and win 4-2, or will LA tie the series at 3 games apiece and force a Game 7. That means it will decide who will go on to the World Series. Cubs went on to win 10-2. They did extremely well against the Dodgers. But I really want the Los Angeles Dodgers to win the championship series and go on to the World Series. But the Dodgers can win and go on to face against Cleveland. That means 2 in Cleveland, 3 in LA, 2 in Cleveland. I want the LA Dodgers to win the pennant and then win the World Series with Chase Utley and Carlos Ruiz, who were former Phillies. They didn't do so well. They ended up getting 2 runs. They got to improve on their hitting and their defense. Their defense was very terrible. Even instead of having a double play ball to end the inning in Game 5, the Dodgers were forced to get an error on Chase Utley, and the inning continued. But the Cubs, they had a good chance. They have yet to break their World Series streak. They haven't been there since the 1900s. But now, the Cubs have a good chance to beat the Dodgers in Chicago, or will LA force a Game 7? We're going to have to find out tomorrow night if Chase Utley and Carlos Ruiz and the Dodgers, or will Anthony Rizzo, Dexter Fowler, and the Cubs will win the game. But it's not going to be that easy. I want the Dodgers to come back, tie the series, and then force a Game 7, and then go on to beat the Cubs, and then they'll go on to the World Series in Cleveland. But Cleveland won 4-1. Meanwhile, the Dodgers trail the series 3-2. The Dodgers have been to the World Series before since they were the Brooklyn Dodgers. Meanwhile, the Indians haven't been in the World Series since '97. This is going to be that easy. I'm going to take the Dodgers to win in 4 games, a sweep of the Cleveland Indians, which is not going to be that easy because you got good players like Jose Ramirez, you've got Andrew Miller, you've got Cody Allen, and the Dodgers, you've got Corey Seager, Chase Utley, Carlos Ruiz, Matt Kemp, who was with the Dodgers, now with San Diego, and he was with Atlanta. But now, what is going to happen tomorrow night and Sunday if there's a possibility of a Game 7? That means if the Cubs can do it, they got to work hard on their defense. The Dodgers have got to do better on the field. You cannot let this happen. You cannot make any errors. You cannot make any mistakes. And you cannot throw the ball away like it happened before. It happened to the Dodgers when you throw the ball away into the dugout, and you cannot force a runner to reach base. And then you're going to force one to get a free base and go to second on the L. Not easy. But they are going to have to play error-free baseball, which I know is not going to be that easy. The Cubs played well. They worked hard to go into tomorrow's game against the Dodgers and then Sunday's matinee. Now, Cody Allen got his third save in the postseason. He did very well against the Blue Jays. He did very well against the Red Sox. So did the Indians. They did very well beating Boston, and now they defeated Toronto. Can they defeat either the Cubs or the Dodgers heading into Sunday's matinee or Saturday's matinee? Remember, this is a good matchup. I would love to see LA win the World Series or the Cubs. Gonna be not easy, but we'll find out tomorrow and Sunday as we head into the last set of the games. Of course, if the Cubs win, the World Series is all set for Tuesday night. Remember, it starts on Tuesday, October 25th. And then it goes right through November. It's going to be pretty easy to see the Indians and the Dodgers, or will it be the Indians and the Cubs? Now, last time the Indians and the Cubs met was in 2015 at the Jake, or also known as Progressive Field, and at Wrigley Field. Not going to be easy, but we'll see, and we can go from there. But the Cubs ended up winning the Central, defeating the Division Series, and they went on to the Championship Series to beat the Dodgers. Gonna be easy. Just gotta be careful. You got dangerous hitters like Anthony Rizzo, Dexter Fowler, and you've got a lot of players. Gonna be pretty difficult. For the Indians, they've got a lot of players like Jose Ramirez, who did well. You've got a lot of players on the team. You got Cody Allen. You've got Andrew Miller, who was traded from New York to come to Cleveland. Anything can happen. Anything can happen in the Championship Series tomorrow and Sunday. Hopefully, we'll see if Cleveland can come in and beat either LA, or they could face off against the Cubs. But we're going to find out heading into next week when the World Series starts in Cleveland. And then after that, could it be 3 in Los Angeles, or will it be 3 at Wrigley Field? It will not be easy, but last time Cleveland and Chicago met was in 2015. The last time Cleveland met Los Angeles, 2013, were they meet in the World Series. Remember, these teams will meet once every 3 years. The Cubs and Indians meet once every 3 years, and of course the Indians and Dodgers meet once every 3 years. Even though Toronto did their best to win, but being down 3-0 wasn't going to happen. Of course, the Dodgers and Blue Jays met in May of this year. Going to be not easy. But we'll see heading into Tuesday's matinee with the World Series fast approaching. We'll see if it's either going to be LA or Cleveland. The Cleveland Indians have yet to win a World Series. They've been there. They're going to try to come back and win the World Series. The Cubs, they have yet to break their World Series drought. It will not be that easy, but it will. Going to be a very tough battle with the Cubs and Dodgers heading into tomorrow. We'll see how these two teams fare. Hopefully Chase Utley will homer. Carlos Ruiz will get on base. Of course, you got Andre Ethier. You've got a lot of pitchers. And of course, the Dodgers had one, Uribe, even though it's going to be not easy heading into postseason play. And of course, after the World Series, then baseball off-season, and then the 2017 schedule, which was already released in baseball. We're not going to get to that. It's going to be what it's going to be. Anything that can happen. The World Series will start on Tuesday. I want to wish the Cubs and Dodgers the best of luck tomorrow and Sunday, unless the Cubs win the Championship Series. Anyways, that is a wrap. It's a wrap. We'll be back on the air next week for more sports. Enjoy the baseball postseason. Enjoy football Sunday. Sunday, the Eagles and the Vikings, Patriots, Steelers, and other football coverage. Of course, enjoy the World Series. Hopefully, the Dodgers will win the World Series over the Indians. Hopefully a sweep, maybe 5 games. Have a great day, a fantastic weekend, a fantastic week. Enjoy the rest of your sporting weekend. We'll see you next Friday at 12 noon on the Radio Vision Network. Adios.